really cute though. You hit mute again.
I did it.
You
Ah,
good? There you go. You
I'm
good.
good. The babies want to talk to me.
I see
We
that
from
that mom kick in.
woo. I was like, hold on one second.
Yes, I already know. So now you could share it
Okay.
because we are live, so we can get it together.
Oh, I found it.
Yes, ma'am. Got you all the way in there.
Now you just
Share it
okay. I found it.
and turn the volume down.
Oh, oh, oh.
You okay?
Woo.
Well, how you doing, Miss Taylor?
I am well. I'm well.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. So how your day been? What you doing virtual learning with your kids?
We had a little hiccup this morning.
Uh-huh.
I think that the idea is great. I think I see they mean well. Um, but as far as I'm still look at this, I'm still trying to figure. Okay, I'll figure it out. But I'm still trying to understand, like as far as the children were trying to ask questions, and the teacher, can't hear over everybody, and teachers are still trying to discipline, like still trying to be teachers. And I
Uh-huh.
leaned over to help my daughter. This was so crazy. Look, I promise you, like it was the craziest experience because I leaned over to help my daughter and I hear her headphones like rah, 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 rah. So I'm thinking that she's watching TV or something, and it's this mom fussing out the teacher,
In front
and
of
I'm
all
like,
the
oh
kids,
no,
like in front of all the kids.
all of them, all 13, 14 of them.
Lord have
So yeah,
mercy.
I had to explain to my daughter, that's not how we are going to behave with the teacher if we get frustrated because it's frustrating for everybody.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So tell me a little about yourself. What was your upbringing like?
I was raised by a single mom. I, it was interesting growing up with her. I think that, she taught me a lot of what to do and also what not to do. So I took a lot of life lessons from her, just watching her. I was more raised by my grandmother because my mom worked 2 and 3 jobs. So she was in my life, but she just was working. So
Right.
my grandmother did most of like the rearing for me and my sister. So that's what gave me like such like an old soul, I think. Because I'm into like gardening and that type of stuff. But it got a little rocky. I dealt with depression at a young age, and I dealt with like anxiety really bad, and it showed up in my health. I had eczema really
Hmm.
bad, and I had asthma really bad, and I would have really really bad panic attacks that I would like pass out. So if
Wow.
like too much stress would come on me, like no matter where I was at, I would pass out. So
Wow.
it didn't help that like also growing up in a household with a stepfather who, my mom's husband, who was an alcoholic. um it just was a lot of trauma experiences, a lot of emotional and verbal abuse, and just toxicity, and it's just everything that I saw is nothing that I ever wanted to repeat, like with my
Right.
children. um but I definitely was like exposed to way too much, at a young age. So I think that shaped me, kind of like who I am, made me who I am. I know that for sure. But
Right. Right. So how was it like when you were in high school dealing with situations like that? Because usually middle school and high school is when you start trying to find yourself and your personality going different directions.
Mm, I think it channeled into me being uh, really independent. I was a part of everything I could be a part of. So
Mm-hmm.
not only because I'm really like into social things, but I just wanted to escape my house. So I got a job at a young age. I started working at 15. And I was balancing school, trying to keep a 4.0, and working. And I also was like on the basketball team. I was on color guard, and I was a part of like this nursing program. Anything that I could do, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
to stay from at my house, I did. Um, I think that those different programs and like the different mentors that I had helped shape me a lot.
That's
The way that they were and how like they would just tell me, because I would always try to express to them things that I was going through at home, and they would just like try to like keep me encouraged and keep me uplifted. And I found a sense of like self with my teams. Each team that I was a part of gave me something different. You know what I mean? So I found a sense of like family and love and like togetherness being a part of other like groups in school and in high school and stuff like that. So
right. It's so it just balanced you out to continue to still feel good about yourself at the same time, even when you were feeling some kind of way. You had ways of dealing with being uplifted.
yeah.
He like, yeah. So tell me a little bit what got you into beauty and fashion.
My grandmother and my mom. My mom went to school for cosmetology, and she was also like into fashion. Really, me and her got the same superlative for high school. Ain't that crazy? Me and her both got most original, and then she got most artistic as well. That was crazy, but she would like sew and create like her own clothing, and I was the same way. And we were both inspired by my grandmother, who was a seamstress. She also went to cosmetology school, so it's just like a part of my family. Like it's just something that we do. I think that because they both were single moms, each one, like I didn't. My grandmother wasn't married past once she wasn't with my grandpa anymore. So I watched them kind of learn to pamper themselves. They knew how to do a lot for themselves. They know how to do their own nails, their own hair, makeup application. So I would watch them just kind of like take care of, themselves, and it just made me want to learn how to do it for myself. So that's how I
Right.
got into that. Yeah.
So tell me about marriage life. How did you and your husband meet?
Next, no, I'm just playing. He over here. We actually grew. Okay, so we have like the funniest story. Okay, so his sister is my when his one of his baby sisters was my best friend growing up, and me and
Okay.
her have been friends since kindergarten. So I knew him, like knew of him, but as long as I knew her, me and him had never really been in the same room together ever. He's 6 years
Hmm.
older than me. So yeah, he
Okay.
was doing his own, he was doing his own little thing when I was a kid. And so we never crossed paths like that. It wasn't until I came back up here from like down in Alabama. Oh, and also I kind of like we had a crush on him because he used to play football, and I was, 13 and just a mess. But so I would be like, oh, that's gonna be my husband. No lie. I had never spoke to him a day in my life, but I used to say it all the time, just like messing with her and stuff. And
Right.
so when I came back up here and found out, like he just kind of like he came in, and I saw him, but I kind of was like, whatever. I didn't know that that was him because we're older. And so he said something to me. I just kind of brushed him off like, no. He's standing over here. So he gonna say okay. So he did. He asked me if I wanted some water. He asked me if I was thirsty, and I'm like, no. you know. So long story short, I tried to play hard to
Hard to
get,
get.
but when I realized that was him, I was like, oh shoot, and he don't got. And so we ended up just talking and just hit it off from there, and we've been inseparable ever since.
Wow. So how long now you guys been married?
Well, we've been together 7 years. No, been married 7 years and been together for 11.
Wow, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
What a blessing. That's
I'll let you
impressive.
say that.
Oh, he
He
picking with
cool. He
you.
cool. Yeah.
So so what fun things do you guys do to keep your marriage going with you guys being parents of six?
As far okay, so look, no lie, we don't we understand because this is something that he wanted. This is something that I wanted. We have a pretty big family, 6 children. We're understanding with one another. That's really where it bounds down to in the communication, because we don't really have a social life outside of our children. I know that's so bad, but we really don't. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know, and we try to like be understanding with each other about it. You know, like okay, this is what it is. This is what we're doing. And this is what we want to do. So we just try to like make time for each other, like maybe late at night. Like right now, it would be time maybe like he and I just kind of hang out a little bit. Or if I'm
Mhm.
working, you know, we'll work alongside each other. Like, cause he has his own YouTube channel and stuff. So like I'll be up late at night with him, and we just try to get the most time together we can because right now I'm breastfeeding. So we have a 7-month-old who needs me on demand, and he's just understanding about that. We just try to just go with the flow. Really, that's because we don't really have anything outside of our family.
So how do you balance out being a mother, being a wife, and being an entrepreneur at the same time? Because that's a lot of patience, that's a lot of consistency. That's a
Yeah.
lot. When you be doing a lot,
Yeah.
you make it
Yeah.
look easy.
You said what?
You make it look easy.
Oh man. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Woo! No, it's far from easy. I think the back of what people see now. Cause me and my husband talk about this a lot. What people see now has came from days of crying, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all of that. Like it's come from just me choosing to make my life easier and just going with the flow and not really I hate this glare. Going with the flow and really not worrying about tomorrow. You know, I'm planned up for as much time as I can be, and I'm very flexible. And again, this would not be really possible if I didn't have. Now, if my partner wasn't understanding, this really wouldn't be very. I wouldn't be able to be in a relationship and still pursue my dreams in this way. But because he is understanding and he tries to just kind of like be there for whatever I need him to be there for, whether I need him to be a photographer or my shipper or organizer or just whatever, you know, he tries to be there for me because it's kind of like we bounce off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think if I was a single mom trying to do this, I think it would be a lot harder, because I would have to choose one thing and kind of like stick with that because it's doable. I've known women who are single moms and who have 6, 7 children who make it happen. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think that um, with the help that I have, I had to look at my situation and be grateful, because I am able to do this, and it makes me just a lot more understanding when women do come to me and ask me, how do you do it? I'm not boastful or bragging. There's a many a days where I didn't think I was going to make it to this point where I've made it at.
Right. And I know it's probably be rough. Have you like what in between of you having your kids, how did you balance out being an entrepreneur and battling postpartum?
I didn't. I just will quit. I had no system, no strategy outside of me. I didn't really have any help. I think that made a big played a big part in why I quit, because it was like I don't have a team, I don't have anybody outside of me. There is really no strategy. I'm getting up every day. I'm doing the best that I can, and if I'm not available, then the show don't move. And so I would just because this I've been vlogging on YouTube now for 5 years, and it has taken just time after time after time of me like bumping my head and trying to figure out, okay, all right, now I got to come back, and maybe try a little bit harder. Now I need to deal with this or that. And I don't know. It took a lot of just meditation and self time, a lot of self work. I mean, I can't even. It sounds like I feel like I'm exaggerating, but I'm serious when I say my self care time,
Right.
crying, meditating, really just trying to learn how to go with the flow and not overwhelming myself and putting myself in somebody else's box of what they think I should be doing or what they say I should be, you know, going through. And even social media can be something that's really detrimental to our mental here. So if you are a mom trying to have work after you're having a baby, it is so important, which is why I have glittery cocoa. Because glittery cocoa is so important to me because it says this is us. Like we are we need to be a village. We really need to be uplifting one another because it's
Mm-hmm.
doable. We can do it. We just need a team behind us to say, hey, how can I help when you're down? How can I be there for you? How can I, support you? I think postpartum depression hit me the most because I didn't have a lot of back end support besides my mother.
Okay.
Besides my mom, that was it. So I did everything, and she was available how she could because my mom just passed last October. So it was
Mm,
like
for
she
that.
was everything that she could be, for me. And to like not have her anymore, it was just like, oh man. But yeah, she helped because when the postpartum hit, because it hits every single time. I don't. There hasn't been one time that I've had any of my children that I didn't go through that phase where it was starting to happen. But two, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, and this is bouncing back into like marriage and stuff like that. Him deciding that he wanted to learn a little bit more about what postpartum was and not brushing it off as just, oh, that's something women go through, and
Right.
really trying to understand. He has helped me from our last three children not go into that because it
That.
would be like, he's like, okay, remember why you're in it. Remember why you started. Pick up where you left off. Don't beat yourself up. Just keep trying and keep going. And I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. It took that because not even having that, it would have been really hard for me to say, okay, where do I start? Like, how do I pick up where I left off with my dreams and what I want to do and my goals as a mom? So, yeah, my long rant.
No, but I mean that's perfect. It's like people need to hear that because it's a lot of women that are new mothers and postpartum could last, as far as I know, what I've seen, it could last a very long time.
Yeah, it can
It
last up to
could,
10 years. The research that I've done on
yeah.
it, it can last up to 10 years. Each child, like each time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could last a while. Is I know a few women personally that battles it a lot and they're still trying to find their way, their balance and things of what they need to do. So it's good that you are sharing that because some of them they don't get to hear it much. And it's very important for women to hear other women and how and they get through. You have a blessing to even have your husband and maybe they could try to get their partner to get informative too about postpartum and what it is and start looking it up because
Yeah, that's
it's
important.
important and it keeps and helps that balance too for your everyday life of being a mother and then your kids are looking up to you but then you still have to cook, clean, and do so many other things. So do you have like an actual do you have an actual schedule that you go by daily and the kids go by it, or you just be all over the place?
Working on that. Because our children are still relatively young. Yeah,
What's your
right.
oldest? How
Um,
old is your oldest?
my oldest she's about to be 9 in October.
Okay.
So our oldest is 9 years old. And she does try to do her part. We have a 6-year-old, we have a 5-year-old. They do, oh, excuse me, not six. Let me correct this. He's 7. He just turned 7. I forgot. And then we have a 5-year-old, and then our youngest three, 4, 2, and then 7 months. So those last three are the reason why the house is a mess in the first place.
Oh.
Yes, they are. But I think for them, I just try to like minimal. I mean, because a lot of people wouldn't agree with this, but we try to minimalize what they have. So they have like it makes my life easier. It makes his life easier. They have like a few big toys and then a few smaller things, and then that's it. I believe in a lot of Montessori type toys, so I like puzzles and like kitchens and learning sets like that. And
Right.
then right now, organization is huge for us because I didn't have a lot of time. to really stop and say, okay, I just had a baby, you know, and so my house just was like overflowing with old baby clothes, new baby clothes, old baby items, and just stuff from every business I've ever had, and just all that. So it's like organization for me is what helps too. But with
Wow.
them, it's kind of like hit and miss. I'm trying to teach them, you know, and they might get it some days, and then some days they don't. But it's just consistency, reminding them that, you know, if you want a clean space, then we gotta all work together to keep it clean. So yeah.
Wow. So what are all the things that you do have going on besides blogging?
I do. I want to become. I'm working on motivational speaking. I actually have been studying underneath a girl. Her name is Ashley Kirkwood. I want to say. I hope I'm saying it correctly. But she's like teaches other people who are interested in becoming motivational speakers how to become motivational speakers. So right now, just kind of like channeling my story and everything that I've gone through, and using that to teach other women and to share like just like my experience with homelessness, joblessness, you know, having my first child at 19, losing my dad, losing my mom, losing my grandmother, pretty much losing my entire support system. That a young girl, because I'm only 29, so like a young girl would need, or like a young woman needs to be able to make it. Like I'm really having to lean on God a lot more than I ever did before. Not
Mhm.
that I didn't lean on him before, but right
Right.
now, you know, it's kind of like I'm on him. Like I don't know how else to be, because I'm not just like leaning anymore. I'm on him. Like I'm on him, and I'm forced
Right.
to, you know, pray, and I'm forced to be patient, and I'm forced to wait, and it's just a lot that hit me all at once that I have to deal with now. Um, I'm also into getting back into like my sewing, because I love to sew, but I haven't really had a lot of time to, you know, do that. And then just working on this women empowerment brand, Glittery Cocoa. And then we also have the
Yeah.
children's what do you call it? Like a creative line for children. It's two
Uh-huh.
separate lines, but the one that we're focusing on right now is called Tinker Totters, and it's just to help single moms who maybe don't have a lot of time to focus on picking things off Pinterest and building, you know, a curriculum, or building something for they, or having something for their child to do every weekend when they're at home. But you still want to be a part of, you know, their learning experience, or just share that little emotional bonding time. That's what Tinker Totters is about, because I
Okay.
dealt with that, like, you know, growing up and having a single mom who never had time to really do stuff with us. She wanted to, the intention was there,
Right.
but maybe if there was something put in front of her that she just didn't have to think too much about, she may have been, you know, more receptive to it. So I definitely do that out of passion. That's a passion business right there.
That's good though. So give me a little bit more insight on your experience of being homeless.
Okay. Please, because I might tear up. I've been real emotional because of these hormones.
It's
Okay, so y'all
okay.
bear with me. Okay. Woo. Okay. So it was difficult. My very first time experiencing it, like I said, I grew up in a very tumultuous environment. So my stepdad was just really not, you know, pleasant with me. My mother, I personally felt like I was always under attack. Um, and I was put out the house at 18. So when I got put out the house at 18, I was luckily enough to be with, you know, my husband. He was my boyfriend at the time, but, you know, we decided to get a place together. And then in that moment of us having a place together, we were trying to like work and build. We ended up both losing our job because we were working for this company that worked for Kirby. I was a secretary and he was a sales rep. And we ended up losing our job. And after we lost our jobs because that company closed, we were homeless. And so, because we couldn't pay the rent, and we ended up losing like our car and stuff. And we had just had my daughter, my oldest, at 9. She's 9
Mm-hmm.
now, but the oldest. And so I ended up having to go through, because it's just I've couch hopped, all that, like all you name it. Only place I didn't have to go was to a shelter.
Okay.
Um, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about family. I learned that they're, you know, yeah, I just learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned that, you know, only person I can depend on is me. I learned that I have to, try a little bit more when it comes to finances. So that's what's got me into learning more about financial literacy, because I had horrible credit before I even got out, before I even got started, because of some stuff that my mom did with my credit back before I could even establish my own, credit. So
Mhm.
I had a lot to deal with before I even was of age. So I couldn't get certain things. I couldn't do certain things. It was just a lot. And so I had no choice. I was forced to be homeless. Um, when we when I realized I could go get help downtown. I don't know if you know this program, but it's like OJDFS or something like that, and you can get the cash assistance. But for cash assistance, you have to go cut this paper and go work down at that building. I did that for my first month. I did that, and then they ended up not paying me because they said I missed a time or something like that. And so I was just in tears. I'm like, oh my God, I have a baby to feed, and I'm trying to get a place and all this type of stuff. And then after that, I ended up going back another 3 months, and it was a little bit better. But yeah, it was just rough. I think being home, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. It forced me to do a lot, but I found God so much in that space, because I did. I had to ask for help. I had to wait. I had to learn to be patient. By then I had lost my grandmother and my dad, so I didn't have really anybody that I could lean on like that. And my mother was still in that really toxic relationship, so she really wasn't able to be there for me. So me and I dealt with a whole lot at a young age, just trying to find my way. But yeah, being homeless was no fun.
Right. So what age were you when you lost your father?
I was 16.
Oh,
I
so
was
I know
16
that
when
was
I lost
rough
my
for you
man.
too.
Woo! I don't think I ever really dealt with that baggage. I think people saw me go through a moment where I wasn't myself, but I don't think anybody really understood what I was going through. I don't think that because we don't ask a lot of questions when it comes to mental health, but I know I
Right.
changed a lot when that happened. The way I felt about just myself, the world, people, I just wasn't okay, but
Right. What was one of the biggest changes that you made when he passed away?
I became really withdrawn.
Mm-hmm.
Who I was before was not, I wasn't, I was more angry. So I became really violent. I didn't care, I was just attitude. I didn't want to be bothered with nobody. I was just always angry on the inside. I may have been smiling and joking on the outside, but I was really hurt and angry on the inside. And I had no understanding. I kind of felt like, God, I'm already in a messed up situation. I'm somewhere I don't want to be. And then you take my dad from me, the only person who was trying to help me. Because I had actually planned to, the year that he passed, that summer
Uh-huh.
I was going to move with him my 10th grade year. So, everything
Okay.
was going to get better. That's what I thought.
Right.
And when he died, a lot, sorry, please forgive me if I start tearing up, but a lot that when he died, a part of me died, and I was just kind of confused. I was hurt. I was really angry with God. I didn't want nothing to do with religion. I didn't want nothing to do with none of that, because it was just like, how, where's my miracle, my help, my peace, any of that? Where was that, for me? And I was a kid. So,
Right.
yeah.
It was more or less it was something that you were anticipating, and then all of a sudden it was taken away from you, and you knew at that moment your life was going to change, but you felt as though it changed for the worse.
Yeah.
So
You got the
that
word.
was like the whole feeling that you had. So with you creating so much of that anger, what did you do to even get out of that anger situation, or did it keep going for so long?
It just kind of manifested in my relationships with people. It manifested in just things that I was doing. I was quick tempered, with everything. I don't even think I really started dealing with that until 3 years ago. Be honest, I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
that I
because
started really
yeah.
dealing with that pain that I was feeling until about 3 years ago. And it was a choice whether I was going to stay with my husband, because we've been together for a long time, and
Right.
there was a choice I had to make whether I was going to stay with my husband, that I was going to try to trust and understand and not pour my abandonment issues on him and all of this was, that I was putting on it this man who didn't ask for any of it.
Right.
But I was kind of like putting him in this box that he was just going to be all of these mean, nasty things. And even now he'll say like, well, how did you ever think that? And to know that I was operating out of pain, that's it. Because a part of me knew that he was good, but that other part of me wouldn't allow me to let go of all that anger and that frustration and that pain, And so I don't know. I would say it started 3 years ago, actually dealing and getting to the root of what I was dealing with.
What was that first step that you took to even get like face reality and take accountability for it for you to change?
We were headed for a divorce. Yeah,
Did
we were
you
headed
guys
for
went for counseling and everything?
we went to counseling. That didn't work. We went to counseling,
Wow.
and it was just kind of like, okay, no, this ain't the problem. I mean, I don't think he was really into that. I really wasn't into it, and it wasn't the feeling was mutual as far as not wanting to be involved with counseling all like that.
Mhm.
It was just a choice. I was like, I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of this engulfing feeling of always being angry. And I'm not an angry person at all. But
Right.
inside somewhere I just was just like, always angry, and it poured into my relationship with God too, because I stayed frustrated. I think, and that's what kept blocking me from being able to get
Mhm.
past into where I wanted to be. So that moment, that change in my life, that happened, has been stuck with me for years. And I didn't even realize it. It wasn't
Yeah.
until I heard someone said black girl therapy or something like that. It was somewhere on social media. And I started looking into therapy, and okay, and I was like, all right. And then I couldn't find any black therapists in my area that would take the medical insurance. Yeah. And so I'm
Okay.
like, okay, this person is this far out and that far out. And so what would I think I started reading this book because a friend of mine, she wrote a book that was like a what is it called? It's over here. Prayer life. It was about your prayer life. And I
Okay.
began to realize that I didn't really have a consistent prayer life.
Hmm.
So my inconsistency with God just came from a whole lot that I was dealing with. And she asked a few questions in her book, and then it just kind of trickled, into there. Then I got into like spirituality and kind of like honing in on some of these different things that I'm able to do and see. And just, yeah. So it was like, okay, I understand now that in order for me to
Hmm.
get what I'm asking for, I got a lot to deal with. So God,
Yeah.
this ain't you. This all me.
Right. It's because when you lost your father, you got upset with God. So
Yeah.
you've been upset with him for that long period of time until you actually let yourself surrender to him and ask him for forgiveness for you to even move forward in your life and start healing yourself.
Mhm. Yeah,
Which
it was.
I'm sure it's a battle still with you doing it because you said your mom passed in the same month my mom passed.
I know. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Look,
Yeah.
when I saw it,
So
broke my heart. Just you should have seen me. I was just snot and tears and just like, no, I don't want anybody to feel how I feel.
man, it was a mess. It still is,
Oh,
but I just know from you dealing with your dad and then knowing your mom passed and you in a process already in between trying to heal, it's like something always else, something just happened and you find yourself getting right back to that anger.
yeah, right back. Ah,
Right back.
I think but this time, because when my grandmother died, that ill affected me bad. I thought my dad was bad. My grandmother, I wasn't ready. I had just had a baby, and it was just I just was not ready.
And
I
she was the
still
one
don't
that
now when I
practically
see it.
raised you too, right?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was the lifeline. She was the glue. She was the just anything that I needed. The doctor, the therapist. She was my thing. She was just whatever I needed her to be. You know what I'm saying? And when
Mhm.
when that happened, it was like I'm still trying to deal with that. I don't even really deal. I deal with it, but I don't really think about it. I try to just say she's right here with me, and I just move because I'm not even ready to deal with that. But having to deal with my mom because that was front and center right now, in the moment,
Yeah.
I had to choose that I wasn't gonna get mad at God this time, because I was like, okay, you talking to me at this point now, because I'm like, I don't know what else to say. Because I know you can't hate me because you keep on sparing me through situations I had to put myself through. I mean, this is a serious conversation. I know you probably think I'm
Yes.
crazy, y'all, but look, I was like, you can't hate me because you done took me through all of this stuff to get me where I'm supposed to be. So at first I thought you hated me. Now you don't hate me. But then I'm like, okay, what do you want me to see? And I think that the consistency with him and him, or with God, the consistency with our relationship and me just learning to trust. I mean, I don't feel like I worry about anything now. You would think that
Yes.
because my support system like that is gone, that I would be over here like balled up and just like, and it's like, no, this is the most flourishing time of my life that I have ever experienced. And it's like crazy as heck to me. It is
No,
crazy. Still every day I thank him, and I just thank him for the opportunity to still have my mind, because even telling them like, oh yeah, I got 6 children. No, I don't have a mom. No, I don't have a dad. No, I don't have nobody. At this point, besides my
right,
husband. Um,
right.
it's yeah, it's going though. We're getting there.
Yeah, it just gotta take it day by day, but that's just like you were saying, trusting him. And a lot of people miss that part. Some people, I don't know, they reject God so much to a point where right now is the time for you to build a relationship with him, love him, and accept the things that he's bringing to your attention at this moment. And a lot of people still don't get it, but as long as we get it and it's within our household, that's all we really need to focus on at this point, because a lot of us found ourselves saving everyone else, helping everyone else identify so many things where we need to get back to the roots of things where our household is safe and is educated and is secure, and getting everybody lined up with what's really going on in
Yeah,
so many
most
ways.
definitely.
Yeah, so that's good that you and your husband, that you do have him and you guys have that foundation set within y'all's household, because that's your best friend.
Yeah, yeah, man. Woo. I would have never, like, it's crazy because I don't know. I never looked at it like that. Like, I think I was looking at everything else that was supposed to be a blessing,
Yeah.
and I was missing what my blessing really, was, and where it was at. I was just overlooking him, like how you just kind of like overlook that toothpaste. Okay, this is how I was overlooking him. That toothpaste splatter that be on the mirror in the bathroom, and it's there, but you just keep on going, and you just kind of overlooking that,
Mhm.
until you realize,
Yeah.
well, wait, it's a smudge on the mirror. It's in the way. Let me wipe that. That's kind of like what it was. I was just overlooking,
Yeah.
overlooking my help. I was overlooking
Yeah.
my,
You were denying it. You had someone that really love you and care about you right in front of your face, but you still was going in circles.
self
Instead
sabotage.
of being centered. Yep. Instead of being centered and accepting it for what it was. And that's where the position where you were at, you said 3 years ago, that's when you figured it all out, where you guys were trying to get things back and together where it's supposed to be. And that's something that you still have to do now, because it's going to be an ongoing process, and even still keeping it there with you guys having the kids, and then it'd be healthy for the kids to see healthy relationship between you two.
Yes, most definitely, because they've seen me be the toxic. They've seen. I mean, they've seen me operate in a way that I hate that they ever saw it, but it's my truth. That's something that I saw. That's how I dealt with things, and I was also dealing with my own, problems. So then, he has his own problems, and so it was a choice on both our parts. If we were going to be together, if we were going to stay together and continue to try to have a family together, then we're gonna have to change something. Something got to change. It was
Mhm.
just a choice, but I don't think if I ever made the choice, I probably would have kept operating in dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? But it all
Right.
just was about like what I wanted for myself. what I didn't want, and how I was going to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And it's what, 3 years later, and I'm happy that I stuck with it. We talk about this all the time. We make a joke. And that's why I understood, because I just want to say this. You know, the whole little thing where Jada and Will, and they said, we ride together, we die together, bad marriage for life.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say this because I think if you've never been like in a marriage where y'all done gone through some things, you know what I'm saying, and it's been like a rocky moment where we think we about to jump ship, you know,
Mhm.
and then like y'all both look at each other right before y'all about to jump off and be like, okay, look, we just get one more chance, just one more try. Let's come at it a different angle. Let's try to get back to an understanding on how we got lost, you know, in the first place. And it all reverts
Mhm.
back to just like that communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally felt that bad marriage for life. Not that we have a bad marriage, but that we've
Yeah.
gone
It's just
through.
the fact that you getting through things that were bad in your marriage at the time,
Yeah,
but you got through it and it created you guys to build a bond. And a lot of people forget, like, we can understand, like, we both married, so we can understand marriage, wife and husband. But having a best friend as your husband is two separate things, because it's the only person that you can go to, you can talk to, and just really just battle things together.
yeah,
So having that is very, very important, because you can't go to people outside of your marriage too much, because they're not going to relate to whatever you guys have going on in your household, and it'll create matters even worse than what it really is.
I've done that.
Yeah,
I've
it
done that.
creates things worse, because all that person know is what you telling them at that moment. So whatever you're telling them, they're gonna use that, and they're gonna take it, and they just gonna run with it.
Yeah.
But it's other things that transpire within your marriage that no one has a clue about, and you don't have time explaining from when you were 18 years old until now.
Seriously, you are literally speaking my life. It's so crazy. You are literally speaking everything you just said is like the truth. Because like when I would try to explain something to somebody, I would have to go all the way back to
Yeah, you
like
have to
this
go all the
particular
way
point in
back.
time. That's crazy.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't practice healthy relationships too much. So when you could practice healthy relationships within your home, and it starts with you and your husband having a relationship with God individually, and then you both having a relationship with each other with God, praying together, but you have to bring your kids into it too, so they'll end up knowing what to do, also pray together as a family, because it creates a form of structure in your home, and it just circulates a lot of positive energy.
Yeah.
So even if you guys sit down, like, if your kids, they're old enough, you can sit down and have family conversations with them. It just creates a great healthy environment all the way around, and you'll find it therapeutic for you guys.
Yeah,
So
we
it
do that. We do something. I just kind of started this since they've all kind of gotten to understand, the oldest three are understanding how they feel,
mhm.
like understanding what feelings and emotions are and trying to learn how to deal with them. We have these little moments where I'll just kind of call them in the room. It's not like a specific day or nothing, and I'll just
Mhm.
ask them. I'll say, you know, right now is your floor for you to tell me how you feel. You, because you know, or maybe you want to tell Daddy how you feel about something Daddy may have said or did, or you know, whatever. I don't know, and then, and even about each other. This is a
Right.
space where nobody gonna attack you. They can't tell you what you're supposed to feel. You are safe, you know, to talk about what it is that you may be feeling. Because I know that I didn't have this. You know, when
Yeah.
something happened in my house, I just had to shut up about it, even if you were wrong.
Mhm.
You know, just because you're the adult, like you're definitely wrong.
Yeah.
But okay, you know, I'm just gonna, or I got my butt whooped before someone asked me maybe how I was feeling, because maybe I was a little bit snappy because I'm tired, you know, of me trying to
Mhm.
tell you something and you're not listening to me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like children have feelings, and thoughts and emotions too. And that's why Tinker Totter is really important too, because it's a way for you to open up a dialogue with your child that is sometimes they don't know how to feel. You have to make them comfortable because you're their parent. You're the authority in the house, and making them comfortable for me is really important. So I'm like, oh no, we're not gonna get mad. You can say you're mad at mommy. You can say you're mad at me. You can feel like I didn't listen or I didn't do something. Tell me what you feel so that we can talk about it, so that I can bring you to my understanding. I can understand your side, and maybe we can apologize or just come lie there, whatever we need to do to
Mm-hmm.
get you feeling better. So
Yeah. And so they can gain an understanding who mommy is too.
yeah, yeah, seriously.
Yeah, because it's important, man. It's just I don't know. It's like people we just got to get back to the traditional way on how families are because it's a lot of kids and families are being broken, and that's what people want. They want broken homes, broken families, and kids going this way and that way, or just coming up differently. And we need to more focus on coming together and always staying together. And it creates better. It creates a better life
Yeah.
in so many ways for us to be together. Not being together, if it's toxic, it's toxic. You
Yeah.
gotta separate. But it's just the boundaries that you have to face and healing that people they have to do. Because a lot of people isn't they aren't healed. They're
Mm-hmm.
not.
Or
A lot
trying.
of us, yeah, a lot of us fight things from our childhood and we bring it into our adulthood a lot. And that's exactly a prime example what you did. And until you face your reality, like, look, I need to get myself together. Seriously.
That was it. It was just a choice. I had to choose that. Because if not, I was going to lose my marriage. My children were going to be, you know, living in two different households at one time. We probably tried to juggle that. I don't even know how we was going to do that. But yeah, it was just like, and he also has some things to work on too. So it was just kind of like, hey, we're going to decide to get this right. And I'm going to decide to truly do the work. Because I can't. It's consistent. Has to be. This has been consistent choices over the last 3 years that have gotten me to this point. Every time I want to choose to slip back into what I used to think or used to feel, I may go journal. I may write it down. I talk about it. Like, okay, I'm being triggered. This is a trigger. This is not really him. This is not me. This is a triggered situation. And so I'm trying to dive into, because I don't know if you've ever heard about like engrams or
Yeah, I've heard of
what
it.
is it, Dianetics.
Yeah.
I think that that's really important to study, because even if you don't take like the Scientology, that's I'll take all that away from it. But the true nature of understanding how we repeat these rhythmic patterns. We're doing things that we don't even know really why we're doing these things and can't really remember and how it started. But it's just like this has been a consistent pattern for us, something that we have to unlearn, essentially. So I definitely think that that's helped me too, taking my study further with understanding why I am the way I am.
Right. Did you find yourself of you and your husband going tick for tack on different things? You guys ever
No,
experienced that?
uh, no, I think it's just we were very immature. We were really young and easily influenced. Um, and people who are supposed to be, maybe like the elders or the ones that can give you the advice, because they toxic now. They're toxic too. They got their own things, life and stuff like that, and their own feelings. And instead of them like being caring and like that, it's like kind of like judging, dropping seeds, just not really helping. But really, that's why your marriage is supposed to stay in between you and him, because I
Hmm.
find that, or you and your partner or whatever, because I find that seeking outside, genuinely, you're seeking for help and answers because you don't know, why is this man like this? I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing all these things, and he's not receptive to that. Why? What am I missing? Or him trying to find me out. we're going everywhere but to each other. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like trying to just because truly trying to just be perfect for one another, and not going and saying, hey, okay, what is it you need? Because I don't know. And this was on both parts. So I think reaching out too much outside of our marriage for like help and answers and all of that, instead of feeling safe to come to one another. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Communication.
And then
There go again.
you do have to be careful who you talk to about things because they may want you broken apart anyways.
Yeah.
You
Find that
know,
out real quick.
yeah, they may not even be before y'all for your marriage. They may be against it, and they have their own tactics and techniques to separate you
Yeah.
in so
It's
many
so sad
ways.
too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm like,
we got
wow.
we got a question. She said, "What can us mompreneurs do to stay mentally healthy during quarantine?"
I want to let me see, Miss Brooklyn. As far as having a team, I'm asking for help, relying on other mompreneurs who maybe have, because this is something I'm big on, supporting other women who have children. Maybe like if they are like social media marketers or what else, financing or whatever they can help with, packaging design, stuff like that. I've literally started delegating tasks, helping and like asking for help outside of myself, and learning that it's okay to ask for help and just taking a minute, to say, all right, not today, because this is your, essentially it's like your business, this is your baby, this is your time, for you. So I take a whole solid day. Sunday is my day. I try not to do nothing on Sundays. If I do end up doing something on Sundays, then I'll take like the next day. But I take a full day. I don't care what has to take place. That day is for me. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to move slow. I'm going to sit outside if I need, whatever I need to do for me that day, go get my nails done or whatever it is that I choose. I'm going to do that without anybody else's, like, I don't ask questions like what you need, what you want. Not today. On this day, I'm going to focus on what I need, because all week long I'm worried about you, customers, this, that, and so forth. So I think just trying to just go with the flow. That's all I keep hearing, and I've heard this in other groups. And the sharing is not put too much on yourself and just go with the flow, because what's gonna be is what's gonna be. Whether you try to force it, it's not gonna work, and then you're gonna find yourself more mad and more messed up if it wasn't, how you planned for it to go. So just go with the flow. That's all I can say. I'm so sorry.
Yes, it's so important. Like you dropping some good stuff for mompreneurs too, because we never know what anyone's. I'm not a mother, so all me seeing everything around. I'm like, okay, I got a village of women that I could call up and be like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot. Some of them I can't see how I can't see how my mother did it. I can't see it, especially when she really wasn't making nothing and she was just making so many things happen. But for me and my brother, and I'm like, dang, how did she do that? She wasn't even making a lot of money. So it makes folks need to start putting some respect on mothers. Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
seriously.
Seriously.
Like for
Seriously.
real.
Like, I think that it's important for us to have a village, a space for communication. Like, because I know everybody can't afford to pay for all that help, right? But I know that if you just can like move pride aside and like put yourself in a space where there's other women who can probably help you do, some things, or maybe just take a load off, reach out. I think it's all about the importance really of community and going past those four walls, because I'm like that. I just really started being okay with asking for help, because you worry about, well, if I reach out and ask this person, are they
Yeah.
gonna screenshot me and post me on social media saying like,
Social
oh, she
media.
don't want to pay for my services. That's not even the, like and learning how the system of bartering why I created this group called Sister Friends, because everybody don't like, especially getting started. Not now, if you making 6 figures a year, you shouldn't be reaching to somebody without saying like, hey, I got the coins to do X, Y, and Z. But a lot of us, when we're getting started, we won't even start because there is no, you feel like, oh, well, I don't have money to do this, and I don't have money to do that, and I don't have the time to do this, and I don't have the time to do that, and we give up. We give up before we even get started.
Yeah.
So that sense of community is really, really, really important for mompreneurs too, and entrepreneurs, I say in general, but for mompreneurs definitely, because you have a whole nother responsibility as far as being a mom now on the back end, and you want to show up for your children. That's why you're working for yourself in the first place. So my husband always reminds me to stop, take a deep breath, and just go with the flow. And I instantly click back in, and I'm just going with the flow. But he's a good reminder, because sometimes I need to make a bracelet or something that say "Go with the flow."
Yeah,
it's easy. It's so easy to not go with the flow because you want everything to be perfect, but you have to just remember that you got into being a business owner because you want to work for yourself. You want to do this for yourself. So take care of yourself so that you can enjoy the wealth that you're trying to build.
Oh yeah, some good old wealth too.
Yeah.
After so long, it takes time, but after so long, you're gonna start seeing it pay off, and everything will start flourishing exactly the way you want it.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Patience and consistency, and being willing to move. Pride don't stand. What is it? Somebody told me pride. There's no space for pride and ego in business.
Oh, that's true.
At all.
That is true.
So
Humbleness will get you far.
Yes,
It'll get you very far, and just remembering why you started.
Yeah.
So, anything that you have coming up, coming out, anything?
Well, I do have the virtual. We're doing a virtual releasing party on Glittery Cocoa. There's like virtual kits. We have like raw rose quartz in them. Paint, because I'm a painter. I'm into painting, and so I painted this wall back here. But like painting, so it's important too to have like something to do to kind of like release, because we'll say like release, and people kind of be like, what's that?
Yeah, mine's is painting too.
Yeah, so if they go, you can go to glitterycoco.com and sign up for the email list, and that way, like we'll be sending out the information as far as like how to go about purchasing a box to be a part of the party and stuff like that. And it's a really intimate setting, so it's only, I think it's either 10 or 12 boxes, because I want to keep it to where I can talk, and kind of get to know and share how I go through as far as releasing and the different self work that I've done to get to where I'm at now.
It's Glittery Cocoa with 2 C's.
It's GLITTARIEE, and then Cocoa, like the drink, COCOA. Yeah, .com.
So again, GLITT.
ARIEE.
Okay. Cocoa.
Like the drink.
COCO.
A. COCOA. My husband says cocoa.
Cocoa.
He be cracking me up. Look, he's silly.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. That is it. But yeah, it's just a virtual, like, because we can't be in the same space with each other, but online, and we're gonna do like a release, and just kind of like we're gonna do like some manifestation work and stuff like that, and just kind of like talk and just like have what else is in the box though? It's like some paint and a canvas that I have that they can like paint along. It's just like a paint and sip party, except we're doing a release. So
yeah. That's good. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. So before we close out, I want you to say something very encouraging and inspiring for the women that are watching.
Okay. Whew. What can I say to encourage? I think continue, if you haven't been doing this, start, but believing in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Trusting yourself, allowing yourself room to mess up. Uh, Erase the word perfection, because there is nothing. It's only perfect how you make it to be. And I think that just choosing to say, okay, today I'm going to choose me. Today I'm going to choose to build myself up. Today I'm going to choose to build the next woman up. Today I'm just going to choose to operate in abundance. All of those things, they matter. Our thoughts really just kind of like, and focusing on you, and just like what you're thinking, and how you're choosing to move, in order for you to make it to that next step, whatever you want to do. Because not everybody wants to be, in business and stuff like that. You may just want to kind of like come up in corporate or wherever you're at, your job and stuff. I just think that it's important to change the mindset. So if you aren't already doing that, I would encourage you to choose to just operate in abundance and love and peace.
Mhm. Yes, that's very, very important. Well, thank you again, and good night. It's good old
Look,
night.
good night. Thank you for having me.
Yes, definitely. I'm gonna have to have you on here again because I
Yeah.
have a lot of women that has. I noticed like a lot of people that I've interviewed, a lot of them have things in common. So I was thinking about putting something together for all the
Okay.
women that have different things in common and make it like a women's conference, and we could just talk some good conversations with, just
Cool.
drop some gems.
Yes, yes. Look, I'm all about it. Look, yes,
Yes,
women
I already
empowerment over
know.
here. We need each other,
Oh
especially
yes,
like we really,
yes,
really need each other, especially now where we can't touch each other. We really need each
I
other,
know,
more now than ever. So it's really
I
important. I'm happy
know.
that you have a place like this, like a platform to keep women,
It,
sharing their stories and inspiring other women. So thank
it's
you.
needed. You welcome. It is so needed. Well, thank you again. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.